with a start time of 4:15 on Saturday. Central Washington will play against Montana State Billings on Saturday at 4 o'clock. So that will be a matchup. Well, a lot of great scores will be taking place across the GNAC, and you can look towards GNACsports.com for all the updates in terms of not only Central and Seattle Pacific, but also all across the entire circumference of the GNAC. But that's the story. Also, we have a men's game here tonight. They'll be following us as well in terms of after the women's game comes the men's game between Central and Seattle Pacific. That should be an intriguing matchup as well. With a lot of great stars. Ryan Gildersleeve, you'll be on the call for that contest. And Seattle Pacific, they have proven themselves as one of the best teams in the GNAC, and they cannot stop losing.
Absolutely, Danny. It has been a wild ride, really, for SPU this year. They head into this game against Central on a 7-game win streak in the GNAC. In the GNAC, they have not lost a single game since the first GNAC game that we played this year with them against the Alaska Fairbanks.
Nanooks, yes.
Yes. And so, yeah, looking forward to this game. It's going to be a good one. You know, SPU is a strong team. Central Washington also riding in on a 4-game win streak. So it's hard to say. Both teams having a great season so far.
Central Washington began the conference play at 0-5, and they've turned things around with a record of 4-5. So it's been spectacular to see, especially throughout the performance of Central Washington. For their faithful, Seattle Pacific, they have been, well, they haven't stopped ever since that defeat in the early season. They got the cobwebs off in their loss to Alaska Fairbanks, and they haven't looked back ever since. But before we get things started here tonight, the GNAC did suffer a tremendous loss, as according to a St. Martin's University press release, longtime retired director of athletics Bob Grisham passed away from a sudden aneurysm on Sunday, January 22nd, 2023. For more than 37 years, Grisham was a champion for athletics at St. Martin's University, the local community, and the athletic conference at large. More information will be shared regarding a service soon, which will be held at the St. Martin's University campus. As it was St. Martin's President Jennifer Bonds-Arake, a PhD, who went on to say about Grisham, saying, quote, "We owe much of the growth of our athletic programs and success of our student athletes inside and outside the classroom to Bob and his leadership. He'll be dearly missed by the many people who encountered him. Please keep his family and our community in your thoughts and prayers," end quote. Grisham was passionate about always raising the bar, from growing athletic facilities and developing new programs to establishing relationships to build athletic support. He was always challenging our coaches and student athletes to continue improving. We recognize that Grisham's loss will impact many individuals. He will be dearly missed by his family, friends, and the Saints community whose lives were enriched by Bob's larger-than-life personality, his witty jokes, and his contagious laughter. All of us here from CW Athletics and 88 Wonderberg send our collective thoughts and prayers to the Bob Grisham family and St. Martin's University, a tremendous loss in the GNAC community. And as it was Grisham that had just recently retired last year, as it was St. Martin's University that hosted the GNAC tournament last year. And it was during that tournament they commemorated Grisham for his outstanding service with St. Martin's University as he embarked on towards retirement. And the news that broke this past Sunday over the loss of Grisham has shaken everyone within the GNAC community, as it'll be happening in just a matter of moments, a moment of silence for Grisham, and in his memory. He meant so much to the GNAC in terms of who he was and the legacy that he lives on to have. And not knowing Grisham personally, everyone that I interacted with around him, it was always a special notice, especially around him, with the attitude that he brought out on a daily basis, and he was well loved amongst the entire community over in Lacey. So we remember Grisham for what he's done and what he will carry throughout as St. Martin's and the rest of the GNAC will live on in his memory. As we are just a couple seconds away from tip-off, we will have a moment of silence, then followed by the national anthem here in Nicholson Pavilion, as both teams are lining up for what will be a very heavy presentation in just a matter of moments. But our public address announcer is one of Dr. Scott Erickson. He'll be handling the PA duties tonight. and he will carry you through all the pregame festivities, including the moment of silence for Athletic Director Grisham, as well as our national anthems in just a matter of moments.
Welcome to Nicholson Arena for tonight's matchup between the
I'll toss it right back, yeah.
and your Central Washington Wildcats. The Great Northwest Athletic Conference family is mourning the loss of former St. Martin's Athletic Director Bob Grisham, who passed away unexpectedly on Sunday. Bob served as St. Martin's Athletic Director for over 37 years. He was one of the founding athletic directors when the GNAC was formed in 2001. In addition to his leadership of the St. Martin's athletic program, Bob also spent 17 seasons as the Saints' head men's basketball coach and 20 years as head women's golf coach. A great friend to the GNAC, Bob will be remembered for his sense of humor, his larger-than-life personality, and his dedication and passion for both St. Martin's and the GNAC. At this time, we ask that you please rise and join us in a moment of silence to honor the life of Bob Grisham. We ask that you remain standing and remove your hats for the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner.
That was the Star-Spangled Banner. That was preempted by the moment of silence for St. Martin's Athletic Director Bob Grisham. As we're just about set to go between Seattle Pacific and Central Washington, the Seattle Pacific starting lineup is being introduced right now. With a starting lineup of Maya Hoff alongside Hunter Byrne, Anna Eddy, as well as Ashley Alter, and rounding out the lineup for Seattle Pacific is Natalie Hoff. For Central Washington and their starting lineup, it will begin with Sunny Huerta leading the way for the Wildcats. Only 8 points in their last meeting, last showing against Northwest Nazarene. Also, Tori Maida leading the way for the Wildcats. And the two freshmen, Asher Kai, alongside also the star for Central Washington, Ashley Scow, and rounding out the lineup, Samantha Bowman as well. So a great starting lineup for both these two teams. It should be a great one between both these two teams. As for Seattle Pacific, it'll be a matchup that we've seen for quite a while. Natalie Hoff against Samantha Bowman for the opening tip. As you talk about height in terms of an opening tip-off, Michael, this is what you got. You got Natalie Hoff, who's standing at 6 feet 3 inches tall, alongside Samantha Bowman, who's 6'2". This promises to be a great tip-off to start this game.
I'm more focused on the game after the fact, but I think these two teams match up very well. We're going to see a lot of different action going through in the first quarter. We're going to see who takes the first shot, who draws first blood between the two, but really it's going to come down to which team can respond from that well. Because if the Wildcats fall behind, they can respond well. We saw last time they were able to come away with a win even though it took overtime. While if they fall behind and they can't recover, we could see a Seattle Pacific season sweep once again for the Falcons. And then vice versa as well, where the Falcons, if they fall behind early, they're going to have to try and scratch and claw their way back into it. And if they can't make that up, we see the Wildcats building that momentum going into Saturday's matchup against MSU Billings.
The last time Seattle Pacific swept Central Washington was during the 2017 campaign. As we're just about set to go, it'll be Natalie Hoff and Samantha Bowman in for the opening tip to start this game off. So wherever you might be listening from or watching from, we welcome you for this GNAC matchup between 6-3 Seattle Pacific and 6-3 Central Washington. We're underway. Samantha Bowman wins the opening tip for Central, as it'll be Tori Maida riding up the floor for Central. Sunny Huerta near side, down low in the low block, coming up short on the attempted shot. As Seattle Pacific comes up with a rebound, Anna Eddy able to outlet on ahead for Hunter Byrne. Byrne leading on ahead for Seattle Pacific over on the near side for the carryover from Maya Hoff. Hoff to her sister, that being in Natalie, far side for Alter to the inside for Maya Hoff. Hoff defended by Scow to the inside, turns to the outside for Natalie Hoff, turning and shooting for the foul line, and she scores as it's Seattle Pacific. They draw first blood, they lead 2-0.
That was a big first play right there for SPU as they try and build. They got to get another stop on defense.
Bowman triple teamed, intercepted by Natalie Hoff, and Seattle Pacific is able to advance up ahead, up 2-0 within the first minute. This is Ashley Alter, 31 points, a career high in the last meeting between both these two teams. Finding Natalie Hoff at the top of the key. Far side for her sister Maya, the younger Hoff sister, driving in for Seattle Pacific to the outside for Natalie. Natalie Hoff, defended by Scout, turning, shooting one, and scoring. Natalie Hoff right off the bat. It's now a 4-0 lead for Seattle Pacific with a minute gone by in this first quarter.
SPU is doing a great job of getting Natalie Hoff open and on the perimeter where she can get easier shots.
Off the Scout screen is Asher Kai finding the open Huerta, three, it's good! Sunny Huerta from downtown. Central Washington down by 1, a minute 30 in.
A big shot right there from Huerta. Very limited in last time's game because of foul trouble. She could be a big impact tonight.
On the carryover, Hunter Byrne with it. Byrne lobbed in for Hoff. Natalie Hoff on the handoff to Byrne. Back to Natalie Hoff. Hoff riding into the foul line, turning, putting one off the glass, coming up short. And it'll be Central Washington who will advance the other way. A lob in for Bowman. A little too far out of her reach on the pass sent by Tori Maida. Seattle Pacific possession with 2 minutes gone by in the first quarter. Seattle Pacific a 4-3 lead. This is Hunter Byrne for the Falcons over to the near side for Ashley Alter, defended by Kai. Far side for Natalie Hoff. Over to the far side now for Anna Eddy, turning, shooting. Alter, she scores. Ashley Alter makes it a 6-3 Falcons lead. Here comes Sunny Huerta driving in on Byrne. Outletted to the outside, a deep three from Kai. Off the right edge of the rim, and Seattle Pacific is able to advance. Byrne, a pass for Alter, and alone! The unfriendly roll on Alter. And Central Washington looking to reply, down 6-3 in the early going. This is Tori Maida, far side now for the play by Sunny Huerta. Shooting a long two, it's good. Sunny Huerta with the reply. It's now a 1-point Seattle Pacific lead.
You know she was upset about how the last game went. She's ready to come out and start lighting it up early.
Over for a centering play, Anna Eddy comes up too strong on that one. On the attempted shot, here comes Sunny Huerta driving in on Alter. Far side, deep three from Asher Kai! Yes! The three-pointer, Central Washington with their first lead of the game, 8-6.
There we go. We saw the Wildcats respond right there. Couple of big shots. If they can keep the momentum going, they can start kind of building a lead now that they finally have it.
6:40 remaining in the first quarter with Central Washington 8-6 lead on Seattle Pacific. Centering feed for Natalie Hoff on the near elbow, finding Anna Eddy, turning, shooting off the back of the rim. And Asher Kai able to outlet on head for Central Washington as they advance up the floor. Far side for Sunny Huerta, guarded by Byrne. Open is Bowman, a three, it's good! Samantha Bowman from downtown. A timeout called by Seattle Pacific, and a huge impact play for Samantha Bowman.
We talked about that pregame where you, with her added threat now of being a bit of a three-point shooter, that you have to keep an eye on her everywhere on the court, because down to the post, she's going to do a lot of damage. Out on the arc, she's going to do a lot of damage. And now the Wildcats have already gotten 3 3-pointers to go. in the first 4 minutes of the game. They have a 5-point lead, and all of a sudden this is a different Wildcats team than we saw last time, where they were struggling in this aspect on offense, and now they're thriving and heating up very early.
Back to Bowman especially. She doesn't shoot a lot of threes, but it's the volume whenever she's able to put a few shots up. Most of the time, they go in, Michael.
She averages just under a 3-point make per game. So we may not see her take another one, but if we do, if we see her get that opening, she's not afraid to pull the trigger. And as we just saw, it's going to go in.
And I was seeing before the game, especially with Bowman, trying to work on that three-point shot. She's out there for a vengeance to try and prove to the GNAC her three-point shooting abilities. But also in the early going, well, it seemed as if Seattle Pacific controlled the pace in the very early portion of the game before the three-point storm.
Exactly. SPU came out strong, and they knew exactly what they need to do on offense, and they still do. If they can start getting kind of that mismatch down low where they're pulling their posts around the free throw line, because they can shoot from that distance, it kind of takes a lot of their good post defense for the Wildcats out of the equation and allows them a lot more freedom to take the shots they want to take.
Substitutions into the game for both these two teams. Inbounding for Seattle Pacific will be Lolo Weatherspoon. Up the floor comes Anna Eddy. Riley Johnson also in the game for Central Washington. Here's Hunter Byrne. Byrne off the screen from Weatherspoon to the inside. Now for Natalie Hoff. Hoff turning in the low post, dropping for Weatherspoon. And she was partially contacted. And the foul will go against Samantha Bowman, her first of the contest. As that will send now Lolo Weatherspoon to the line for Seattle Pacific. As Lolo on the season, 44% free throw percentage for Weatherspoon, averaging just under 3 points a game. Weatherspoon misses the first free throw attempt. With an 11-6 Central Washington lead, with 4 minutes gone by in the first quarter. Weatherspoon for the second free throw attempt. She goes 1 for 2. It's now an 11-7 Central lead. Here comes the Wildcat offense in the form of Sunny Huerta. Finding Claire Heichman, who hesitates, guarded by Weatherspoon. Near side for Tori Maida. Maida, a right-handed dribble, working across the cylinder. Near side for a deep three from Claire Heichman. Heichman the conversion. Central now a 14-7 lead.
Every single time they get the ball, it feels like it's time for a heat check, and it just keeps working.
Heichman the three, and a stoppage in play, and a foul will be called on the screen set up from Hunter Byrne.
And it looks like Hunter Byrne's a bit slow to get up, and that would be a huge loss for this SBU team. She is one of the leaders on this squad.
For Byrne, especially even with the short time she's had, she's been excellent. But meanwhile, we have this stoppage in play. As checking into the game for Seattle Pacific will be Haley Marlowe. Marlowe on the season, she wears a protective mask that she wears consistently whenever she plays because of having an incident that happened to her with her nose. So with that taking place, Marlowe plays with that protective mask, and it seems to suit her well. It's a custom-made mask, too. So whenever you're able to have a protective mask, especially when you're able to play effectively with it, it's a huge key, especially. So good for Marlowe to be able to play with that protective mask. Meanwhile, here comes Central Washington as they advance up ahead. This is Tori Maida. As a great defensive effort made on the play by Marlowe, forcing the turnover, and it's Central Washington who turns it over. And advancing up the floor is Haley Marlowe. Marlowe, far side now for the carryover from Anna Eddy. Eddy defended by Sunny Huerta. Near side for Ashley Alter. Alter down low in the elbow and the low post, finding Natalie Hoff, who's able to escort it on free for Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon riding it alone. And a foul will be called as the end result, as the stoppage in play will send Seattle Pacific to the line in the form, again, Lolo Weatherspoon.
Right now, the Wildcats' post defense, although has been good for most of the season, has gotten a bit sluggish so far today. A couple fouls down low, not really stopping the post when they get down and get position. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Wildcats can build on that and try and improve as the game goes along, because that's going to be a very big weakness for the Falcons to exploit if they don't.
Here's Weatherspoon for the first free throw attempt. And she converts on the first try, going 2 for 3 on the night, looking to make it 3 for 4 on this attempt. As Weatherspoon right-handed shooter. Puts one up off the back of the frame. Claire Heichschmidt the rebound for Central as they advance. Here comes Central Washington leading 14-8 with a halfway point of the first quarter. Sunny Huerta riding in alone. She scores. Sunny Huerta makes it now 16-8 Central Washington.
You saw Bowman subbed out just a minute ago, and it looks like it's Huerta's time to run this offense solo at the moment.
Turning, pivoting, Weatherspoon off the glass and in. The response from Lolo Weatherspoon.
Weatherspoon, who averages only about 3 points a game, already has 4 on the night. A big key factor for the Falcons this early.
Near side, Kai, a three! Off the front of the frame, rebounded by Heichschmidt, stolen away by Natalie Hoff in a jump ball. Possession arrow will point towards Seattle Pacific.
I think we saw our first heat check gone a little bit wrong, where that was definitely about an NBA range three-pointer right there from Kai. I mean, hey, if it goes in, it goes in. But right now, I think that we saw with that, the Wildcats are going to dial back a bit and now look for a bit more of their safer shots they'd like to take.
Here comes Anna Eddy for Seattle Pacific. Far side for Lolo Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon played now by Skylar Berry for the far side for Eddy. Locked in now for Berry. Skylar Berry turning, pivoting on Ashley Scow off the glass. Skylar Berry left off the scoreboard for the moment. Heichschmidt able to emerge on free for Central Washington with Samantha Bowman about to check into the contest. Here's Sunny Huerta, top of the key for Heichschmidt up the wing. She scores! Claire Heichschmidt, it's now an 18-10 Central lead.
The Wildcats offense right now just feels like a well-oiled machine. They may not have the same look every time, but they're finding which one works, and SPU can't really respond right now.
Top of the key, here's Lolo Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon, pump fakes, hands off for Skylar Berry. As driving in, Weatherspoon is fouled again. And the third trip to the line for Lolo Weatherspoon as she will head to the foul line. Substitutions into the game for Central Washington. Malia Smith alongside Tori Maida and Samantha Bowman. And subbing out will be Sunny Huerta alongside Riley Johnson and Claire Heichschmidt. Here's Weatherspoon for the free throw attempts.
Weatherspoon has done a great job for this offense so far today, driving in, making contact, whether she's finishing or not. She's going to the line a lot, and she just made the first one, which brings her to 3 for 5 on the night. A bit above her free throw average, but she's doing very well.
Weatherspoon again looking to improve her mark off the right side of the rim. Rebounded by Alter for Seattle Pacific. Driving in alone, Marlowe! She scores! Off the bench, Haley Marlowe makes it now an 18-13 lead for Central Washington, rather. This is Asher Kai defended by Alter. Kai off the Scow screen. Thrusted to the inside for Scow. Double teamed, a loose ball and a jump ball. And possession will stay with Central Washington. No, a foul will be called as the end result. And it'll be Central who will inbound at the baseline in the form of Tori Maida.
It'll be interesting with Huerta on the bench right now. We need to see somebody facilitating for this offense. That might be Tori Maida, or it might be even one of the post players if they're able to get good positioning down low.
3:05 remaining in the first quarter. Central Washington, an 18-13 lead on Seattle Pacific. Made it to inbound. Lobbed in for Samantha Bowman. Bowman near side for Maida. Top of the key for Kai. Pump faking on Schuler Berry. Berry, however, winds up with the ball. Lolo Weatherspoon advancing on ahead for Anna Eddy. A deep three from Eddy. Strong on that one, but Alter comes up with a rebound. Weatherspoon again. Near side for Alter, lobbed in for Skylar Berry. Berry turning, pivoting, shooting, and scoring. What an effort from Skylar Berry.
I think that possession we see Bowman is having a bit of a rough start to the game, and that is affecting the Wildcats defense so far.
18-15 the score line, as it's Weatherspoon on the defense to force the play out of bounds. Substitutions into the game for Central Washington. It'll be Malia Smith who will check out. Sunny Huerta checks back in. And inbounding for Central Washington will be Asher Kai. Kai finding Tori Maida, far side for Ashley Scow. Scow, the freshman, for the other freshman in Asher Kai. Kai, defended by Weatherspoon to the inside, turning, pivoting, inside and out. Stoppage in play. Possession will remain with Central Washington.
That was a big play right there, managing to draw the foul and not necessarily get to the line, but be able to rack up those fouls. They're almost in the bonus with a couple minutes left to go in the quarter.
Sonny Huerta guarded by Ashley Alter. Off the Bowman screen. Huerta driving in. Retreating for Scow. Scow off balance. She scores. Ashley Scow. It's a 20-15 Central Washington lead with 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter.
Everybody's chipping in right now for the Wildcats. 5 different players scoring in the first quarter. Not a usual sight, but definitely a welcome one in this kind of a matchup.
This is Anna Eddy. Eddy for the carryover from Skylar Berry. Finding Weatherspoon, lobbed in, back to Berry! Off the left side of the rim. Out of bounds, possession in favor of Central Washington with 1:45 remaining in the first quarter. A 20-15 lead for Central Washington over Seattle Pacific.
Let's see if the Wildcats can right now continue to build that momentum. Time is running low in the first quarter, and taking a big lead into the second would be a huge part of winning this game.
Huerta guarded by Alter. Turns, pivots to the outside for Scow. Scow, mid-range jumper. Rejected from the rim. Ashley Alter on the rebound for Seattle Pacific. Advancing on ahead. Alter driving in, turning, pivoting, shooting one, and scoring. What a play from Ashley Alter.
SPU starting to get back in it. They've cut the lead down to 3 points. They need to try and get a big stop right here to cut it even closer.
20-17, 70 seconds ago in the first quarter. Scow. Court wide for Maida. Carried on now by Asher Kai, who's defended by Eddy. Kai. Off the Bowman screen, turning, shooting, and scoring! Asher Kai on the response, banking one in.
Asher Kai has done a great job all season of getting that really strong mid-range shot. It falls a lot, and as we saw right there, is a big momentum swift right over to the Wildcats.
Skylar Berry picked off by Samantha Bowman initially off of her foot. And the stoppage in play will yield to a few substitutions on either side. We'll see Hunter Beard especially a lot more in the contest. So we'll see more of Hunter Beard as she checks in to the contest. In it goes for Skylar Berry. Near side for the play by Marlowe. To the outside, Hunter Beard. Off the Berry screen. Beard to the inside. Back for Berry. What a play! And Seattle Pacific trims the lead to 3. Back comes Central Washington. Huerta, reverse layup. No. The unfriendly roll off the right side of the rim. Here comes Weatherspoon on ahead. Near side, Marlowe. Marlowe, deep three from Alter. Rejected by the rim. And Central with 10 seconds ago in the quarter. Maida, far side, down to 8 seconds. Huerta, back to Maida. Maida, down to 5 seconds, down to 4. Maida, near side, Heichman for 3. No, and that's the way this first quarter comes to an end. The Central Washington Wildcats, a 22-19 lead on the Seattle Pacific Falcons. We'll be right back after this on CW Athletics and 88-1 The Berg.
Domino shooting contest. Our 2 contestants, Paige and Rachel, will have 30 seconds to make a layup and foul line jumper and ball them to the court. The contestant who completes the competition first will win a piece of courtesy of Domino. Ready, set, go!
Can you guys hear me when I'm talking right now?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
For your support of CWU athletics.
10 seconds. And we are back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Back live on CW Athletics and 88.1 The Berg locally on radio. We welcome you for the second quarter of action between Central Washington and Seattle Pacific. Central, a 22-19 lead early on the Seattle Pacific Falcons. Early stats, well, Ashley Alter, no surprise with 10 minutes, playing all 10 minutes. She played a full game last time out against Central Washington, the only player to play 40 minutes throughout the entire course of the contest. Meanwhile, here comes Central Washington on offense. Far side for Riley Johnson for the carryover from Heichman. Near side for Sonny Huerta, 3! Off back iron. The rebound carried in by Hunter Byrne. Byrne advancing on ahead for Seattle Pacific. Byrne stops up, guarded by Tori Maida. Bearn on the right-handed dribble, finding Lolo Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon pump faking, top of the key for Natalie Hoff. We'll see a lot of her tonight. And the carryover for Bearn finds Natalie Hoff down low on Heitschmidt. Blocked initially, loose ball, a scramble. Possession will stay with Seattle Pacific, as it'll be Ashley Scow and Claire Heitschmidt that will carry most of the role, especially in the paint for the moment for Central. As it'll be Hunter Bearn to inbound for Seattle Pacific. Asher Kai subs in for Riley Johnson for Central Washington.
One big number to note from the first quarter. As bizarre as it sounds, Bowman finished with 0 rebounds in the first quarter. She needs to bring that post defense because the Wildcats definitely need it if they're going to try and keep up with this Falcons offense.
Ashley Alter spinning on Kai, off balance, a loose ball. Rebound gathered in by Sunny Huerta. Central will advance up the floor. This is Tori Maida. Maida, top of the key for Asher Kai. Looking shake free from Ashley Alter. Kai, hands off for Maida. Maida back for Scow. Scow, near side for Kai. Asher Kai sachets right past Alter. She scores! What a play from the freshman!
Even simple ball handling moves she makes look so elegant to get to the pot that she wants to take the shot for, and now she has 7 points on the night.
Bearn for Alter. Finding Weatherspoon again. Far side for Natalie Hoff, defended by Scow. Weatherspoon shoots a 3. Strong on that attempt. Kai the rebound, loose ball. Alter able to steal, turns, shoots, and scores. What a play from Ashley Alter. It's a 24-21 lead for Central Washington with a minute gone by in the second quarter of play. Asher Kai in response for Heitschmidt. Claire Heitschmidt to the inside, down low in the paint, putting one up, off the glass, gets her own rebound and scores. Claire Heitschmidt on the answer. It's a 5-point Central Washington lead.
You don't always need to get on the first one, but if you get on the second one, that's just as good.
Here comes the answer for Seattle Pacific. 26-21 the scoreline. 2 minutes gone by in the second quarter play. All alone, Hunter Bearn, she scores. The deficit cut to 3.
That right now, we need to see if the Wildcats can keep up this momentum. It is a back and forth kind of offensive game. They need it. Every shot counts for the Wildcats.
Huerta on the low post, turning, shooting one, rejected by the rim. Bearn the rebound for Seattle Pacific, storming on ahead. Bearn hands off for Ashley Alter, defended by Kai, turning, spinning, shooting one. Off back iron, made to the rebound for Central as they advance up the floor. 26-23 the scoreline. Maida finding Heitschmidt, a deep 3, rejected by the rim and out of play. Substitutions into the game for Seattle Pacific. Maya Hoff alongside Anna Eddy, who will check out for Ashley Alter. So that might be a key substitution down the stretch. And in the replacement for Alter will be Maya Hoff, helping for in terms of the size matchup for Seattle Pacific at the moment. As this is Marlowe. Marlowe hesitating now for Bearn. Bearn defended by Scow to the outside for Natalie Hoff. Hoff defended by Tori Maida, shoots one and scores as it's a mismatch, and Hoff will win that battle on Maida every time.
And right now the Falcons have pulled it within 1 point moving forward.
Here's Heitschmidt handing off for Sunny Huerta. Huerta finds Kai, a 3! Off back iron. Maya Hoff the rebound for Seattle Pacific. 26-25 the score. 3 minutes gone by. A steal from Kai initially out of bounds. And possession will stay with Seattle Pacific. 26-25 the score. Meanwhile, as Samantha Bowman, who is out for a short while, checks back into the game for the Wildcats. Bowman in every game this season, at least 10 points and 10 rebounds every game. Yes, that's a double-double. Meanwhile, here's Natalie Hoff near side for Hunter Beard, lobbed in for Maya Hoff on Heitschmidt, turns, shoots, and scores. Maya Hoff on the answer. Seattle Pacific reclaims the lead.
Right now, the Hoff sisters are going to be a big part because it has been very tough to guard one of them, much less both of them so far for the Wildcats.
Malia Smith in the game, handing off for Claire Heitschmidt. Heitschmidt retreats. Deep 3 from Huerta is good. Sunny Huerta, the three-pointer. Central reclaims lead, 29-27.
That's what they needed. They got a little bit cold from 3 after a very hot start. Huerta just woke them back up, and hopefully they can start getting that kind of offensive energy back.
Here's Anna Eddy spinning on Huerta to the inside on Bowman. Intercepted from Claire Heitschmidt. Central able to escape as the Wildcats and Falcons tied 6-3 in the GNAC standings for third place. Here is Malia Smith thought about the three, finding Bowman. Deep three from Bowman is good! 2 for 2 from three for Samantha Bowman. 32-27, the Wildcats lead with 5:30 remaining in the half.
Bowman's already hit a couple threes, no rebounds. She might be a guard. She might have just transitioned into a guard position for this Wildcats offense.
What are we seeing here? Here's Natalie Hoff in response for Seattle Pacific. Hunter Byrne off the Natalie Hoff screen, and a stoppage in play will be called. The foul will go against Tori Maida, and Seattle Pacific will inbound on the near sideline. As we look over the lineup for both these two teams, Seattle Pacific in their black jerseys, black pants with white numbers. Central with their white jerseys, white pants, and black numbers. Meanwhile, here comes Seattle Pacific. Natalie Hoff near side for Hunter Byrne. Byrne shoots a three. Strong on the initial attempt, but finding the rebound, Maya Hoff. But one problem, an offensive foul called on Seattle Pacific.
It looks like it, or she might have just stepped out of bounds, it looks like, on that drive. Not a lot of contact, but still, going the Wildcats' way, they were able to force a turnover, and with a 5-point lead halfway through the second quarter, they need to keep building that offensive confidence, because that's going to be a huge part of the rest of the game.
Sunny Huerta, top of the key, Malia Smith a three! Negatory on that attempt, as it'll be Seattle Pacific who will advance. Maya Hoff on Maida to the edge for Eddie, inside for Byrne. Byrne spinning one. As she was shooting, she'll head to line, and Hunter Byrne. So Byrne will head to the free throw line. The story on Hunter Byrne during the course of the year in terms of the line, 52.4%. A timeout is called on the floor with 4:45 left to go. As we will keep it right here with 4:45 left to go in the first half. And the story right here, Michael, for both these two teams, it promised to be a tight contest in terms of the scoreline, close down the stretch, and we've gotten exactly as we have advertised.
Yes, right now both teams have been pretty even when it comes to a lot of aspects of the game. They're shooting exactly 50% from the field, almost rebounding the same amount. A lot of the stats stay the same, but the one big number is three-point percentage, where SPU has gone 0 for 4 so far, while the Wildcats have heated up and gone 6 for 13, almost 50%. That is going to be a huge part moving forward. If the Wildcats can keep up, maybe not shooting 100% from three the rest of the way, but continue that about 50% pace, that's going to be a huge impact. Those three-pointers add up compared to the twos that the Falcons are getting on the other side.
And for Seattle Pacific, that's what they expected. They knew Central would be a team that would be shooting and shooting aplenty, as that's what they're going to be seeing, especially for the remainder of this game, obviously. But also looking ahead, Seattle Pacific, a tough contest against Northwest Nazarene, more of an aggressive team. So there's going to be such a balance between both these two programs that Seattle Pacific will be facing. But for the rest of this half, for Seattle Pacific, momentum, you always say, Michael, is going to be key, and that's going to be especially true for both these two teams down the stretch. Meanwhile, at the line is Hunter Byrne. Byrne 52% from the stripe, missing on the initial attempt.
Hey, a 50% free throw shooter. You may miss the first one, but you're going to hit the second one.
So here's Byrne for the second chance. And Byrne converts. And the score line is 32-28 in favor of Central Washington. Here come the Wildcats in response, with Ashley Scow lobbed in for Bowman, defended by Natalie Hoff. And it'll be Hunter Byrne led on ahead for Anna Eddy. Eddy into the near side corner. For the carryover from Byrne, in for Natalie Hoff, finding Eddy again. Eddy from the foul line to the edge for Byrne, in for Natalie Hoff, and a stoppage in play. And it will be a foul on Malia Smith of the Wildcats. So inbounding for the Falcons will be Anna Eddy. Claire Heichschmidt will check into the game for Ashley Scow for Central Washington.
Right now, we got to see some of the post players step up around Bowman. Falcons have done a great job neutralizing Samantha, but if Heichschmidt and Scout throughout the rest of the game can step up, that'll be a huge part.
Well, you don't see that every day. Anna Eddy attempting to shoot a three, finds the corner of the rim, and play will be stopped, and this will be a mission of where we can find. We have one of the crew members with a broom, able to use the stick to get the basketball off the hoop.
I was hoping to see one of the players go up and get it. I wanted to see if somebody was going to get it, but a guy with the broom does just the same.
Well, it's the athletics crew that tend to the game. Well, sometimes, Right place, right time. Meanwhile, here comes Seattle Pacific. Ashley Alter defended by Malia Smith. And Ashley Alter wins the battle, and Seattle Pacific is down by 2 with 4 minutes remaining in the first half. In response, here's Sunny Huerta off the Heichman screen. Far side for Tori Maida. Right-handed dribble, lobbing one short on the attempted shot. Byrne led on ahead for Ashley Alter. 2-on-1 with Eddie. Lost control of the ball and out of play.
That was a big missed opportunity right there for the Falcons. They had an easy, fast break to try and get 2 points, tie it up. But unfortunately, a wayward pass goes out of bounds, and the Wildcats get a little bit of luck right there to go back and get the ball.
Well, there's the old adage, it's better to be lucky than good, they say.
I'd rather be good and lucky if possible, but you're not wrong.
That might be the stride. Meanwhile, Central Washington will inbound with 3:50 remaining in the first half, leading 32-30. Here's Tori Maida, known as the facilitator, leading the team in assists. Meanwhile, Huerta finding Samantha Bowman. Bowman double-teamed initially as it's Huerta who comes up with the ball. Thrust to near side, Asher Kai, a 3! It's good! Asher Kai from downtown! Central Washington, a 5-point lead with 3:20 to go in the half.
A broken play, a little bit of street ball, kicks out, Kai hits that 3, and a big play for the Wildcats.
And we have a offensive foul called on Lola Weatherspoon, seeing extensive time.
Lola Weatherspoon has been a big part of the Falcons. You see a lot of opponents for Central Washington have to bring that extra person who may not stand out a lot going into the game, but really has to come out. And today it has been Weatherspoon, and it's going to be a big part of them moving forward into the second half.
Northwestern Nazarene saw Lydia Nieto, one of the key stars for the Nighthawks, seeing plenty of action. Seattle Pacific folks will see quite a bit of her, I would anticipate, on Saturday. Meanwhile, Asher Kai, defended by Eddie, finding Maida. Bowman thought about the 3, but, well, instead of shooting a 3, she chose to travel. So the travel violation with 2:53 left to go in the first half sees Central with a 35-30 lead, with the Falcons with 2 fouls to give. Meanwhile, here comes Seattle Pacific. Near side for Hunter Byrne, lobbed in for Skylar Berry. Berry handing off now for Byrne to the outside for Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon driving in on Heichman off the glass and short. Out of bounds it goes. Central Washington with possession with 2:32 left to go in the first half. The Wildcats of Central Washington up 35-30.
The Falcons have 2.5 minutes left to cut into this 5-point lead going into the half. You do not want to be down big at halftime. That's going to be a tough hole to get out of.
Here's a floater from Huerta. Strong on the attempt, but looking for a reverse layup was Heichman, but she was blocked by Ashley Alter. Meanwhile, Lola Weatherspoon lobbed in for Skylar Berry. Berry double teamed. It doesn't matter. Skylar Berry scores, and the foul for Skylar Berry.
That's a big play right there for the Falcons. Now they cut it down to a 1-possession lead, possibly just 2 points now down by after this shot.
62% free throw shooter is Skylar Berry. Checking into the game for Seattle Pacific will be Haley Marlowe. Meanwhile, here's Berry at the line for the Falcons to complete the 3-point play. Berry converts, and the deficit is cut to 2 with 2:07 remaining in the first half. Glad you're with us on CW Athletics and on 88.1 The Berg. Central Washington 35-33 lead. 2 minutes to go. Kai, a 3! Back iron, rebounded, gathered in by Ashley Alter for Seattle Pacific. She'll advance on ahead. Near side for Hunter Byrne. Byrne finding Skylar Berry. Back to Byrne. Byrne off the Berry screen. Byrne looking, throwing off the glass. Berry comes up with the unintentional pass and a stoppage of play. Another foul, and that will send Seattle Pacific to the line once again, as it is Seattle Pacific that's now in the bonus. Skylar Berry will be shooting for the Falcons.
Right now, it looks like every single Wildcats player that has played so far tonight now has a foul, which is going to be a very tough thing for them to navigate in the second half, when foul trouble could be a factor for any of their key players.
Claire Heichman, or beg your pardon, Sunny Huerta, the only Wildcat player at this point without a foul, as Berry makes the first free throw, cutting a deficit to 1 with 1:39 remaining in the first half. Here's Barry with the second attempt. It's up and good. We are tied at 35 with 95 seconds left to go in the first half. Here's Sonny Huerta. Sonny finding Kai. Thought about the three. Kai handing off from Maida. Maida defended by Byrne. Back to Huerta. Driving in down low for Bowman. Rejected by the rim, but she's fouled by Hunter Byrne. That will send Bowman to the line. Very quiet stat line up to this point for Bowman here, Michael. 2 for 2 from three-point territory, but no rebounds to go along with the points that she scored up to this point, and that being in 6. Bowman, first attempt is through, and Central reclaims the lead by 1.
The Falcons have done a good job at trying to find a way to navigate Samantha Bowman down low, especially with the Hoff sisters, but neither are in right now, which means Bowman may be able to wake up a little bit going into the half.
She makes the second attempt to go 2 for 2. 37-35 our score with 1:15 remaining in the first half. For the carryover, this is Haley Marlowe finding Skylar Berry. Berry defended by Bowman to the edge for Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon drives in the low block. Strong on the attempt, and Central Washington will advance the other way. Far side for Sonny Huerta. Huerta off the Scow screen to the inside. Back for Scow, a rare three, and a make from Ashley Scow from downtown. A 40-35 lead for the Wildcats.
Another big shot right there from Central on the three-pointers.
Here comes Seattle Pacific. Barry near side for the carryover from Marlowe. Haley Marlowe back for Ashley Alter. Alter dialing up a deep three. And an air ball attempt, and Central able to escape with 25 seconds left to go. Shot clock turned off. Huerta slows down the pace for the Wildcats as the first half starts to trickle down here in Nicholson Pavilion. Down to 10 seconds on the clock. Here's the left-handed dribble. Now carried over by Scow. Scow 5 seconds. Scow in trouble, down to 3 seconds. Huerta needs to get one off, puts one off in time! Rejected by the rim, and that is the way this first half will end. Central Washington, a 40-35 lead on the Seattle Pacific Falcons. We'll be back for the halftime show right after this on CW Athletics and 88.1 The Berg.
We're good.
Averaging 8 points a game, already has 9. Leading scorer. Alter has 8. 4 for 9 shooting. Seattle Pacific hasn't made a 3 yet. Rebounding, Byrne surprisingly. Byrne and Alter leading rebounders.
How long are we thinking until we go in?
We can go.
Let's give it a couple minutes.
Top of the hour. So play maybe like
Play illegal after all these.
Michael, yeah.
about 30 away. All right. About 15 away. All righty, coming back to you in 3, 2, 1.
Back live on CWU Athletics and on 88.1 The Berg. We are at halftime in Nicholson Pavilion with Central Washington a 40-35 lead on Seattle Pacific. Meanwhile, as halftime festivities continue with a future Wildcats edition of the halftime show. Meanwhile, it's the future Lady Wildcats are in action right now as they are having quite the battle between both these two teams, very evenly matched. Meanwhile, for the women of both Seattle Pacific and Central Washington, a 40-35 scoreline. Few surprises here, Michael, in this first half, but also a few things that do remain the same.
I would say the biggest surprise for me, there's two, both for the Wildcats. One is the three-point shooting ability. A team that on the course of the season shoots about 34% from three has been lighting it up so far, shooting 50%, 8 for 16 from deep, as well as Samantha Bowman having a bit of a weird stat line for her, as she has no rebounds, no blocks, but has hit multiple three-pointers and is sitting at 8 points at halftime. Maybe the first time ever that we'll see her without a double-double here on the home court. And I think right now a lot of things have gone differently for the Wildcats in the first half. I think they're going to make adjustments. We may not see a lot of the three-point shooting ability. They may look for more safe shots, but we could also see them just come out, hit some heat checks, and really just try and bolster those numbers they've already dealt with.
And we talked about at the top of the broadcast, Seattle Pacific ranked tops in the GNAC in defense, dead last in terms of offense, but it's the defense that makes this team go. And you talk about neutralizing Samantha Bowman in the area that she has punished teams the most, and that's in the paint. Well, we saw what happened a week ago against Northwest Nazarene. To put this in perspective for our folks over in Seattle Pacific, Samantha Bowman, 32 points, 22 rebounds last week against Northwest Nazarene. So far on the night, Bowman, 8 points to go along with no rebounds, as Bowman leads the nation in rebounds in terms of Division II, averaging 15.8 rebounds a game. So a stellar pedigree for Bowman. Now it's put in a different light here tonight. Meanwhile, looking at Seattle Pacific here specifically, a few surprises you might say. Lola Weatherspoon was seeing extended playing time, and seeing her with more of a totality of minutes, and she's performing very well for being thrusted into the lineup at such a brief notice.
Lola Weatherspoon has been kind of the surprising star for SPU, not putting up as many points as a lot of other people, but doing a great job on offense of facilitating things as well as driving in, causing contact, either getting the shot to fall or going to the line. Already drawn 3 fouls so far tonight, and we could see her try and continue that pace in the second half as she tries to help rack up foul trouble for the Wildcats.
And that might be one of the areas of concern. We'll look into the foul troubles in a moment. But first, right now, for Seattle Pacific, we knew Ashley Alter could be in for another great performance after scoring 31 points in the first matchup between both these two teams. Right now, the story for Ashley Alter, only 8 points, but still well on pace to her average.
Yeah, and right now we could see her try and kind of take over the game a little bit in the second half, especially as we've seen the post defense for the Wildcats has been lacking. And we saw with Weatherspoon, as I just said, you can drive in against this team and try and cause a little bit of trouble down low. I think we could see a lot of all if you're trying to take that strategy and push it further and put up points one way or another.
And the story for Seattle Pacific in terms of three-point territory, well, they have not shot well from three, and relatively they haven't needed to in order to stay in pace with this Central Washington team.
Yes, right now they have gone 0 for 6 from three-point range. And I brought this up at the beginning of the show where you kind of see the Wildcats' opponents over the season really struggle to shoot from three. Their opponents have gone for just 25% over the course of the season. And, I mean, right now SBU is shooting worse than 25, shooting 0%. And you kind of have to imagine, will they even try and go from deep. It's not really lining up well. They're not hitting their shots. Might as well just force it on the inside and get some easier looks and just try and keep up with them and hopefully cause some problems on the other side with their defense, which has been a bit of a step behind where they usually are, allowing 40 points in the first half. But you have to hope that they're going to try and make adjustments and really try and focus on the defensive side of things moving into the second half.
One of the great aspects Seattle Pacific has done here today has been a category that both these two teams have struggled in, and that comes in the steals. Coming into tonight's game, Seattle Pacific averages 7.5 steals a game. That ranks for second to dead last in the GNAC. Central Washington on the other side of the coin, they rank dead last, averaging 6.4 steals a game. Right now at this point, Seattle Pacific already with 5 steals, Central Washington only 1 from Claire Heitschmidt.
We could see a lot of defensive pressure. I know if SBU remembers when Northwest Nazarene played Central in this same location just a few days ago, they brought a lot of full court pressure and it got in the Wildcats' head. They were having trouble getting the ball up the court at times. If SBU feels confident enough that they can put that full court pressure on, we could see a lot of different things going awry for Central moving into the next part of the game.
So in terms of who we expect is going to win, this is pretty much as even of the game as you can get right now with only a deficit of 5 for Seattle Pacific. For Central Washington, if Samantha Bowman is still locked up in the paint with no rebounds up to this point, who are some of the stars that you would say, Michael, will have to perform if the Wildcats are looking to emerge with a victory?
Sunshine Huerta's already had a great start to the game with 10 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds, really facilitating the offense when Bowman can't. And we've seen Asher Kai pull up from basically everywhere on the court, not just tonight, but also across the course of the season. Both of them, especially with how hot the Wildcats have been shooting the ball, can explode and put up a huge amount of points tonight for this Central offense.
Also, in terms of the freshmen, you also have not only Asher Kai as well. Yeah, Kai has been phenomenal with 10 points. Also, Ashley Scow. I'm excited to see what she does, especially for the Wildcats' hopes down this stretch, because the future of the program, especially when Samantha Bowman leaves, it'll be quite the void to fill, and it'll be up to Asher Kai and also an Ashley Scow to try and fill that absence of Bowman. And so far, in terms of a first year of performance, what a great start for these Wildcats in terms of both Kai and Scow to be under the wing of one of the best players, if not the greatest player in program history, in Samantha Bowman.
Of course, and we're going to see a lot of different post players try and fill in tonight. For a bit of a void, Bowman's already leaving on the boards. We've already seen Scow and Heitschmidt kind of fill that, especially in the defensive end. They're going to have to step up. This is a very formidable Falcons offense down low, especially with the Hoff sisters when they're in the game. They're going to have to step up and really try and dial in on that side, because the offense will come. The offense, as we've seen, it can be handled by the guards, but the defense, that's what's going to come down to the forwards down low, making sure they're dialed in and limiting the shot attempts for Seattle Pacific.
So keep in mind, especially the forwards for Seattle Pacific, coming in the form of Ashley Alter, who serves as both a guard and post player for Seattle Pacific, and of course for our Seattle Pacific folks, the Hoff sisters, in both Natalie primarily and the younger sister in Maya. And then Hunter Beer seeing quite a bit of action as well, but I would expect also Skylar Berry should provide much of a role for Seattle Pacific down the stretch. But we are just about a few minutes away from the start of the second half. We'll take a quick break right here on CW Athletics and on 88.1 The Bird.
And we're good.
Thank you, Ryan. Yes.
The game is sold out.
Yeah. First time I can remember. First time I can remember the game sold out. You wanna know why? Size of the arena. Cash remembers we had an extra section back here, and so does Michael. We had such a wide section back here, but yeah, it's a little bit different.
Where do you want me to bring you back here?
After that under otter.
Sounds good. You got 30. We got 15. Alrighty, and coming back to you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time for the start of the second half on CW Athletics and on 88.1 The Bird. As we're just about set to go for the start of the second half, Central Washington a 40-35 lead on the visiting Seattle Pacific Falcons. As we're just about set to go, Michael Jones, final thoughts before we start this second half. Keys for both these two teams first for the visiting Falcons.
I think for the Falcons, they're going to have to try and find their mismatches on offense. We've seen, I've talked about it a lot, the post defense for the Wildcats has had a bit of a step back tonight, and the Falcons have a great offense for trying to take advantage of that. If they can continue that, they're going to put points on the board. For the Wildcats, on the other hand, they just need to find their good shots on offense. They don't need to force threes. They've been hitting a lot of them, of course, but let them come to them naturally in your offense. Don't seek them out. You're going to get a lot more points that way. And as we've seen, the perimeter is going to be where they're going to put up a lot of their scoring tonight.
Sit back and enjoy the second half between Central and Seattle Pacific. Wildcats moving from left to right across your radio dial. This is Ashley Scow on the handle for Central Washington. Where to far side for Maida. Maida defended by Byrne. Bowman down low down high on the post, finding Scow. Scow driving in, no, beg your pardon, that's Asher Kai scoring. Kai, the answer, Central Washington, a 42-35 lead.
Asher Kai, the leading scorer in the game so far tonight with 12 points. It could be a big second half for her.
Far side, Maya Hoff for the carryover from Eddie. Anna Eddie, near side for Hunter Byrne. Fakes the three, drives to the inside, a floater. Byrne picks up her own rebound. Byrne, top of the key for Ashley Alter. In for Maya Hoff. Hoff's turning, spinning, shooting one on Bowman. Off back iron. And Asher Kai, fresh off the only score for Central Washington, in a 42-35 lead. With control behind her back, finding Kai. Kai, far side for Sonny Huerta, defended the far side by Byrne. Huerta, down low, intercepted from Ashley Alter. Second steal of the game for Alter. Near side for the carryover from Byrne. Byrne, defended by Maida, to the inside for Maya Hoff, far side for Natalie Hoff. Sister to sister, Natalie scores from Maya. And the score line, 42-37 in favor of Central.
That's going to be a mismatch right there. They are very tall wings, essentially, shooting those mid-range shots that the Wildcats cannot contest.
Maida with it, lobbed in for Bowman, defended by Natalie Hoff. From the foul line, Bowman drives, turns, pivots, finding Sonny Huerta, defended by Alter. Mid-range shot off the rim, ricocheting off. Maya Hoff the rebound for Seattle Pacific as they advance up the floor. 2 minutes gone by. Central Washington a 5-point lead. And a rejection off back iron from Natalie Hoff. Racing on ahead is Sonny Huerta. Sonny turns, mid-range shot, rejected by the rim. Anchored in and carried by Natalie Hoff. On ahead for Hunter Byrne. Byrne lobbed in all alone is Anna Eddy. Eddy turning, spinning, shooting one. Off back iron. Eddy the rebound. Loose on the floor. A jump ball. In the end result, possession will stay with Seattle Pacific.
That was a bit of a weird situation right there for the Wildcats. Unable to come down with the rebound. That's been a problem all night for them. Not able to really take control of the ball when going for rebounds on the defensive end. They definitely need to get that working, especially with Samantha Bowman, one of the key contributors to that side of their defense.
Rather silent down low in the paint. Here comes Seattle Pacific down by 5. Near side, deep three from Ashley Alter is good. Ashley Alter from downtown. The deficit cut to 2.
First three of the night for the Falcons. That is a big shot right there. It shows that they are willing to hit them now, moving into the second half.
Kai hesitating on Alter. Freshman on 5th-year senior. Kai to the inside for Bowman. Bowman defended by Natalie Hoff. Turning, spinning, rotates. Looking for Scow. Intercepted by Alter. A loose ball bouncing out of bounds. Possession will go to the Wildcats of Central Washington.
Great defense right there. Not able to get the rebound, but able to poke it away get the ball not really in possession, ends up going out of bounds, and the Wildcats get another life on this one.
Central will send it in the form of Tori Maida. Maida defended by Hunter Byrne for Seattle Pacific. Maida briskly to the far side, back for Bowman, near side for a deep three from Kai. It's good! Asher Kai, the three-pointer! Central Washington a 45-40 lead with 3 minutes gone by in the second half. Here's Seattle Pacific. Ashley Alter defended by Maida. Far side, Byrne pump faking, Eddie a three, it's good! Anna Eddie from downtown! The deficit cut back to 2.
SPU's ready to hit those shots now. It might be a bit of a shootout moving forward between these two teams.
Scow loses the ball. Maya Hoff on the steal for Seattle Pacific. On ahead, Hunter Byrne. Byrne briskly in alone. Rotates to the outside. Deep three from Maya Hoff is good. Maya Hoff, the three-pointer. Seattle Pacific back in the lead. They're up by 1 with 4 minutes left to 4 minutes gone by in the third quarter. Maida off the Scow screen, finding Sonny Huerta. Stoppage in play. And there'll be a foul called against Seattle Pacific. Appears to be going against Maya Hoff. Into the game comes Claire Heichschmidt for Central, subbing out for Ashley Scow. Maida will inbound at the baseline. Maida in for Samantha Bowman. Bowman finding the open Asher Kai. Picks up her dribble now. This is Bowman. Bowman putting one up off the glass, rejected by the pack iron. And Seattle Pacific able to advance. Byrne defended by Maida to the inside for Natalie Hoff. Hoff turning, shooting one off balance. She scores. Natalie Hoff scores. And the Falcons lead 48-45. Timeout called by Central Washington as Seattle Pacific opening the half, trailing by 5, changing the gravity. Now, Michael, it's a 3-point SPU lead.
Right now, we kind of see they're taking a lot of the things that they noticed in the first half and really putting them to good use. They're getting the ball to Natalie Hoff. She has been a big factor here in the third quarter so far and definitely playing better than she did in the first half. And right now, that kind of seems to be all they really need to do on the offensive side of the ball. The defense is still working its way out.
And you said it there, Michael. The Hoff sisters have made a dramatic impact. Maybe not so as much in the first half of play, but more so in the second half of action. Great start for the Hoff sisters, fresh off the bat. But for Central Washington, Randy Richardson Thornley is big on one of the words that you like, Michael, and that's momentum. And in many ways, this could be a very pivotal timeout for Randy Richardson Thornley.
Yeah, you can kind of see a bit of a scary movement right there from Seattle Pacific, able to go outscore them by 8 points already here in the third quarter. They need to get in front of it, get some good possessions on offense, and just try and slow them down on defense, kind of build that momentum back going your way to try and then take your own run going forward into the end of the third quarter and into the fourth.
The impact that Randy Richardson Thornley has had on the Central Washington program has been out of this world in terms of the mind of Central Washington fans as she led Central to a GNAC title. Also, a little unknown fact for the folks in Ellensburg, it was Randy Richardson Thornley that was the assistant coach for Seattle Pacific way back when, from 2013 to 2015. Meanwhile, here's Central Washington on the attack with Sonny Huerta, near side for Tori Maida. Heichschmidt guarded by Maya Hoff. Top of the key, Bowman drives in, kicked out for Kai, a three. It's good from Asher Kai, a three-pointer. And the three-pointer ties up the game 48-48. Asher Kai, who has a family tie-in with Seattle Pacific. We'll go more into that later on. Here's a Maya Hoff. Hoff with the attempted screen from sister Natalie. Maya in a heap of trouble, putting one off the glass and in. And the response from Seattle Pacific in the form of Maya Hoff sees the Falcons up 50-48 with 4:50 remaining in the third quarter. Sonny Huerta around the frame and a stoppage in play. Foul called on Natalie Hoff. Checking into the game for Seattle Pacific. Our first look in the second half of Lolo Weatherspoon.
That'll be a big key contributor coming out, and it looks like there will be a timeout taken by the Wildcats.
4:46 left to go in this third quarter of play. To finish the story on Asher Kai, How in the world would Asher Kai, a freshman on the Central Washington team, have a tie-in with Seattle Pacific? Well, it's Asher Kai's sister Scout, who was a big contributor on the track and field team for Seattle Pacific. So quite the tie-in, especially it could be in some ways a family affair between both Asher Kai, who plays for Central Washington, and Scout Kai, who spent quite a bit of time with the track and field program at Seattle Pacific. A nice little tie-in, you could say.
And maybe she's taking advantage of that. She has 18 points, a leading scorer tonight, and having gone 7 for 11 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3. Definitely been a big part of keeping the Wildcats close as SPU has gone on this run here in the third quarter.
4:46 left to go in said third quarter. The Seattle Pacific Falcons a 50-48 lead on Central Washington. Danny DeBach alongside Michael Jones from Nicholson Pavilion. Meanwhile, as both these two teams have concluded their duties during the halftime, or the timeout break, Mike Simonson breaking out of the huddle as well for Seattle Pacific. Took the Falcons to the postseason last year for the first time as they lost in the playoffs to Alaska Anchorage in the semifinals. Meanwhile, here comes Central Washington in the form of Sunny Huerta. From the foul line, she scores, and the game is tied 50 apiece.
Her first points of the second half, she's going to have to step up now, as it can't rely only on one or two players. She needs to be able to step up and facilitate this offense.
Low Weatherspoon with it. Defended by Heichman. Top of the key for Skylar Berry. Far side, Ashley Alter back in for Skylar Berry. Berry to the outside for Beeren. Beeren driving in on Asher Kai, a floater. Misses the shot. Kai on the board for Central. Miscommunication between Kai and Maida, and on the response is Ashley Alter.
It's little mistakes like that they need to try and avoid, because you saw right there, that's 2 points that could end up being the difference at the end of this game.
3:53 remaining in the third quarter. Seattle Pacific a 52-50 lead. Heichman finding Huerta. Huerta, a floater is good from Sunny Huerta. We're back tied at 52.
A bit of a giant slayer kind of shot right there, being able to put it up over a much taller post player, floating it right in to tie it back up.
Here's Skylar Berry. Berry finding Eddie. Down low, lost control of the ball. Initially a jump ball as the end result, and possession will head towards the Wildcat way.
Big defensive play right there by Heichman down low, and now the Wildcats, if they can take their time on offense, could take this lead back after SPU took the lead initially on that big run.
Back and forth we go. Maida near side for Sunny Huerta. Huerta around the frame, stoppage in play, and elbow called on Anna Eddy of Seattle Pacific. So that stoppage in play we'll see coming into the game for Seattle Pacific, Haley Marlowe. Marlowe will sub in for Anna Eddy. Near sideline will be Asher Kai, who will inbound for the Wildcats, finding Tori Maida. Maida defended by Marlowe. Now this is Kai. Kai losing control of the ball, defended by Weatherspoon, out of bounds. And a turnover. Great defensive effort from Lola Weatherspoon.
These teams are going back-to-back right now, whether it be on the defense or the offense. Every play has an equal reaction from the other.
Seattle Pacific to inbound. Lolo Weatherspoon in for Hunter Bjorn for Seattle Pacific. Weatherspoon drops for Skylar Berry. Berry defended by Bowman, far side, lobbed in. Weatherspoon turning, spinning, pivoting on Eichmann. Partially blocked shot, and Central able to escape. 52-52 tie, 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Near side, Maida, top of the key for Bowman. Bowman to the edge for Maida again. Tori Maida near side for Riley Johnson, defended by Ashley Alter. Picking up the pieces, Claire Heichman near side for Samantha Bowman, defended by Skylar Berry. Bowman finding Huerta, turning, pivoting, and a foul will be called on the play. That will be against Haley Marlowe.
A big foul right there is now any fouls by SPU the rest of the quarter will put the Wildcats into bonus and send them to the line.
Seattle Pacific with 4 fouls, no fouls to give at this point. As Michael said, 52-52 all is the score with 2:42 left to go in the third quarter. This is Tori Maida. Maida around the arc, finding Huerta, partially blocked on the play by Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon having a night already. Skylar Berry down low. Missing the initial shot, she scores on the second.
That right there, post defense, Wildcats are not limiting those second chance points down low.
Near side, this is Sunny Huerta. Huerta to the inside, trying to cut through, loses the ball, and advancing up ahead for Seattle Pacific on the far side. Hunter Byrne. Byrne turns, shoots, and finds the right corner of the rim. Stoppage in play, and a foul called on Claire Heichschmidt. And that'll be Central Washington's first foul of the quarter.
That was a really rough moment to get that foul, as they could have gotten the ball back, and it looked like they had a fast break opportunity going the other way. But right now, SBU gets another chance to put points on the board and try and extend their current 2-point lead.
Bowman checks out, and in is Heichschmidt. Meanwhile, here's Weatherspoon. She'll shoot one. Stoppage in play. Offensive foul will be called on Skylar Berry. So the sequence now puts Central Washington in the bonus.
Let's see if they try and take advantage of that. Possibly. They've had a lot of coming off of screens for Sunshine Huerta, where she's making a lot of contact, drawing the fouls. If she can continue that, she can get to the line without even having to take a shot.
Right now on the perimeter, a loose ball, a scramble, stoppage in play into the scorer's table, and the officials will unravel all that's taken place. Crashing into the scorer's table was Lolo Weatherspoon.
Looked like a lot of contact between Weatherspoon and Heichschmidt right there. They've been very chippy, and it looked like in going for the ball, Weatherspoon got a little bit too out of it and went right into the scorer's table. It looks like the refs are going to decide what to call on this play, though.
So the officials will look perhaps to the instant replay at the moment, as our officials are at the scorer's table, in which you could call an official's timeout. 1:41 left to go in the third quarter, 52-54. The SBU Falcons lead the Central Washington Wildcats. A lot at stake here tonight for both these two teams. Seattle Pacific and Central Washington tied at 6-3 in the GNAC standings. Seattle Pacific won the initial matchup between both these two teams at Brum Pavilion in Seattle, Washington, as it was the Falcons, a 70-63 victory thanks to Ashley Alter's 31 points and 9 rebounds, the 31 points, a career high. For Ashley Alter, she led the game in scoring over in Seattle and Brome Pavilion. She leads right now the Falcons in scoring at this point with 13 leading the way. She's done effective work, especially for the Falcons, in helping the offense, as she is the elder statesman of this Falcons team.
Of course, and really right now, the entire team can't run as well without her on the court. Maybe not even as much if the ball's in her hands, but when the ball isn't, it's taking a lot of attention off and allowing her teammates to get open and get a bit of an easier look. As we saw, where the Wildcats got a little bit out of sorts trying to cover Alter and left 2 wide open shots, one of them going in, a couple in the last possessions.
And it's been quite the strange game for those that have been watching Central Washington for quite a while. It's still, now for Samantha Bowman at this point, rebounds, she still has none with 1:41 remaining in the third quarter.
The only people with rebounds on the team, it really feels like, are Sunshine Huerta and Asher Kai, both leading the team with 6, and they're guards. And that it just doesn't feel like a normal kind of game for the Wildcats, which, I mean, considering their record, their normal game usually ends with adding it to the win column. So they better hope they can find a way to scrape this one out, because it is a very chippy game, as we see with still the discussion over the play that just took place. And we're going closer into the fourth quarter. Everything counts. Every possession, every shot, every loose ball, it will end up deciding the winner of this game. And the Wildcats are going to have to make sure they hustle and get them in their favor.
And the officials are still at the monitor, and we'll have a verdict in just a moment. Meanwhile, with what we see, one of our male cheerleaders with a backflip. It's such a hard task to do.
I like the energy right now in the pavilion. This is, once again, our second game back, but our first doubleheader of the season back in the renovated pavilion. Still under construction, but coming along very well, and it feels like we never left. A little bit less seating, but that means that the intensity is that much higher. Sold out crowd tonight as well for the doubleheader. We're going to see a lot more of that energy as well in the men's game tonight, where there's a lot more people coming in, but even for the women's game, it's packed crowd right now.
Meanwhile, we have finally had a verdict here in Nicholson Pavilion, in what is a newly renovated facility. Second home game for the women's basketball team. First men's home game will be following this game, and it'll be a matchup between Seattle Pacific and Central Washington. Meanwhile,
it appears that they're lining up on the Wildcat side of the court for free throws. I believe they may have called a foul on Weatherspoon for SPU. It looks like it is some kind of either flagrant or technical foul on Weatherspoon for SPU, as Heidschmidt is going to be taking free throws with nobody lined up.
50% free throw shooter is Heidschmidt. And the foul will be on Lola Weatherspoon. And so it'll be Heidschmidt that'll be at the line, thanks to our public address announcer, Scott Erickson.
It looks like with all the chippiness, they ended up calling a double foul on Weatherspoon and Heidschmidt, which means that I believe both players will get free throws and the ball will remain in the Wildcats' hands and inbounding. I don't know how the bonus affects this necessarily. We don't usually see a lot of double fouls in college, but this is, like you said earlier, it feels like a rivalry game. This is going to get very chippy, and plays like this, they're not rare in games like these.
It is quite the rarity. A lot of rare aspects. You always anticipate how a game's going to go. We'll see Ashley Alter pop off again for the Falcons. We'll see Samantha Bowman dominate, especially in the paint. Well, some things might bode true, but however, a few aspects don't. That's why there's a reason why they play the game. And for Seattle Pacific, well, they come in, they've lost 6 of the last 8 games they played against Central Washington, but they come into Nicholson Pavilion looking to try and break a drought. They have not won in Nicholson Pavilion since 2017. So this could be the changing of the guard. We could see, it's early to tell, but it's down the stretch during this GNAC season, especially for this year. There's so much value for this game, especially in terms of the GNAC standings. Why? Because Seattle Pacific and Central Washington are tied at 6 and 3. The top 2 teams in the GNAC have byes in the playoffs. However, Montana State Billings is 7 and 2. They are playing tonight in a matchup against Northwest Nazarene. So we'll see how that factors in terms of how games might take place. So we'll see what happens with that. But that does not underestimate the magnitude of this game for both these two teams.
Especially because the Wildcats do draw a game against MSU Billings here in Nicholson Pavilion on Saturday, which will be broadcast here as well at tipping off at 4 o'clock. So tune in then for just as big a game, if not bigger, than the one taking place right now, as we will see the Wildcats, who, if they're able to win tonight, a win against MSU Billings on Saturday will launch them into that second place, into that first round bye moving forward. We still have a lot of games left to play, including one on the road against big rival Western Washington, who is currently in the top 25 in the nation for Division II basketball, ranked number 5 and sitting at number 1 in the GNAC. But any movement, if you can get into that 2 seed, it's going to be huge, as you get an automatic bye into the later rounds of the tournament, and all you need is a couple wins, and all of a sudden you have an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. And as we saw last year, any team can make it to the end, as we saw with Western Washington making it all the way to
National Championship.
All the way to the National Championship. So I think any game now for the season, especially teams towards the top of the standings, is going to be big. And I mean, these are tied for 3rd right now at 6 and 3. So of course, a win right here, it may not get you into that top 2 seed, but it could matter for who you're playing and when you're playing them later in the season for the tournament.
Seattle Pacific will play against Northwest Nazarene, as intentional fouls are called. So
it looks like it'll be a double intentional foul between Weatherspoon and Heidschmidt. They will cancel out. It will be basically, as you see in a lot of better sports, a non-play, in which case it'll be the Wildcats inbounding the ball, 1:41 left. All that really matters is both players have a foul added to their total.
54-52, Seattle Pacific out in front. Here comes Central Washington. This is Tori Maida for the Wildcats. Defended by Byrne, finding Sonny Huerta, driving on Marlowe, back to the edge. This is Maida riding in, turning off the glass and short. Maida picks up her own rebound, and a foul will be called at the end result, as it's Skylar Berry and Ashley Alter incredulous of the call. And the foul will be on Ashley Alter. Second foul of the game for her. Tori made it to the line for Central Washington, facing a 2-point deficit.
Tori Maeda not really doing a lot of work so far tonight, but being able to draw that foul right there and get a rebound, I mean, we're not being anything weird, but Maeda has more rebounds tonight than Bowman now.
Bowman, yeah, still shut out in terms of rebounds at this point. So as Maeda makes both of the free throws, we are tied at 54 with 1:20 remaining in the third quarter. This is Hunter Byrne for Seattle Pacific, finding Weatherspoon off the Skylar Berry screen to the inside. Berry scores off the bank and in. Seattle Pacific a 56-54 lead. Wildcats in response. This is Huerta finding Riley Johnson. Johnson near side for Scow. Stoppage in play. Offensive foul is called on Riley Johnson. And Seattle Pacific will have possession up 56-54 with a minute to go in the third quarter.
This is going to be a big possession right here. If you can get a two-possession lead, odds are you're going to have the lead going into the fourth quarter. And I believe, and I may be wrong, but with possession arrows and jump balls, it will be SPU's ball coming out in the fourth quarter, and being able to establish even more of a lead early would be huge.
A steal. Sonny Huerta running it alone. Sashays right past, they score. Shaking off Hunter Byrne just like that.
Incredible fast break. You want to go up and get contact? How about we jump stop, let you go flying by and get an easy layup.
Perhaps a momentum play for the Wildcats. 56-56 is the score. 33 seconds left to go in the third. Driving in Weatherspoon. Off the rebound, they score. Skylar Berry and the Falcons reclaim the lead. It's 58-56.
Let's see. I believe the Wildcats are going to probably hold on to the ball. Shot clock is turned off and try and take the last shot here in the third quarter, hopefully tying it up going into the fourth.
Maeda spinning on Byrne with 10 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Maeda off the Bowman screen, far side, Huerta a three! Airballs the attempt, 3 seconds left. Out there on the head, Byrne with no time in the quarter, and that's the way the third comes to an end. Seattle Pacific a 58-56 lead on Central Washington. The fourth quarter coming up in just a moment on the Wildcat Sports Radio Network, on the CWU Athletics live stream, and on 88.1 The Berg. Don't go away, fourth quarter after this.
You're off.
Thank you.
Ready, set, go!
Which one comes next?
And we have a winner. Congratulations, Dustin.
Where are we at on? Okay.
We're at 25 seconds still.
Thank you, Ryan.
Having a good time on that fourth seat. You know, I
Back in
think
10.
I think there's some problems over here you should take care of.
And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Start of the fourth quarter on the Central Washington University Athletics live stream and on 88.1 The Berg. In a simulcast, I'm Danny Bach alongside Michael Jones. For the start of the fourth quarter, it promised to be a close game. We've gotten all as advertised up to this point. Seattle Pacific a 58-56 lead on Central Washington. And, well, we always talk about momentum here on these broadcasts, Michael, and it's going to come down to momentum here in this fourth quarter.
Well, of course, we saw SPU come out in that third quarter and take a lot of momentum right off the bat and kind of maintain that throughout the third quarter. Although, as we see on the scoreboard right now, it's anybody's game. It could very well be whoever gets that first punch thrown here in the fourth quarter can just ride that momentum all the way.
Key stat from the third quarters, SPU 3 for 3 from outside the arc. Falcons looking to respond with more, and Eddie with the roll. Seattle Pacific a 60-56 lead, 15 seconds in.
The Wildcats offense is going to have to establish something here on this first possession. They're down 4 right now. They don't want to have that lead be extended anymore.
Beta spinning on the outside on Marlowe. Far side for Asher Kai, defended by Ashley Alter. Kai, the freshman, off the Heichschmidt screen. On the far side, shot clock down to 7. Huerta drives to the inside, cutting through and scoring!
Sunshine Huerta, 18 points on the night, and it's plays like that show you why she is one of the best sophomores in not just the conference, but the nation.
It's now a 2-point lead for Seattle Pacific with a minute into the fourth. Maya Hoff in on Heichschmidt, and the answer from Maya Hoff, the younger of the Hoff sisters, 62-58, with 9 minutes remaining in the fourth. Maya Hoff forces a turnover, and a jump ball will come as the end result. Great defensive work by both Hoff sisters there, Michael.
Yes, exactly. Being able to get a jump ball, get the possession going back your way going forward is a huge part, because the next 50-50 ball going to be going to the Falcons now.
8:51 left to go in the fourth quarter. We have a timeout in action. As for what we've seen so far, Seattle Pacific, they're playing up to speed in a great showcase up to this point. Both Hoff sisters. The story with Maya Hoff, well, she doesn't contribute much in terms of the season average, only 4.2 points a game, but she provides so much more of an impact than what her season average indicates here, Michael.
Exactly. I mean, both of them, basically everybody that's a major player right now for SPU is kind of outperforming their usual averages on the season, except for, you could say, Alter, although it's hard to hit those averages every game. I think right now for SPU, they need to just try and maintain that momentum. They're playing in a lot higher scoring game than they usually do. Usually their games end with this score, much less have a 62-58 line with 9 minutes to go. So if it turns into a shootout, they're going to have to try and find a way to keep up, because they usually don't run into these kind of situations. While the Wildcats, as we see by them leading the conference with 77 points a game, they're not even close to where they're at yet. They're ready to keep putting points on the board.
Seattle Pacific has already eclipsed their average for points per game. They're ranked dead last in the GNAC, averaging 61.5 points a game. Looking at the scoreboard, they already have 62, so they're vastly out of character at this point. So
exactly, and we're going to see this could turn into a shootout right before our eyes the rest of the game.
A loose ball turned over, and Seattle Pacific will advance. This is Hunter Byrne across the timeline, moving from right to left. Here is Marlowe, Haley Marlowe, defended by Huerta to the inside. Natalie Hoff from the low post, she scores! Natalie Hoff scores, and it's now a 6-point Seattle Pacific lead with 8:30 to go.
This is going to be a very interesting possession right here. The Wildcats need to get some kind of safe shot up. It is a 6-point lead. They cannot let it get much bigger.
Kai, a 3, rejected by the back frame. Anna Eddy on ahead for Seattle Pacific. Eddy briskly on in, cutting through, losing the ball. It's loose on the ground. Coming away with the ball is Natalie Hoff. 1-on-3, Natalie Hoff wins the battle.
And there we go. Looks like the ball will
Jump ball possession arrow will be with Central. And subbing in for the Wildcats will be Riley Johnson. And as we wait for the arrival of Riley Johnson onto the floor.
I would say it looks like it should be SPU's ball, because they just had a jump ball go the Wildcats' way. There may have been a problem with the scorer's table and the possession arrow. It looks like...
So so Riley Johnson's in. There we go. You got it right all along, Michael.
Thank you
The
very much.
reliable Michael Jones at it again, fulfilling my role. Meanwhile, here comes Seattle Pacific. Hunter Byrne near side. Natalie Hoffman alone. Rides in off the glass, coming up empty. Tori Maida on ahead, pursued by Byrne. Far side for Sunny Huerta. Finding Claire Heichschmidt back to Huerta. Huerta for Kai. Kai riding in, down low, and the block puts one up. Rainbowing a shot rejected by the rim. Seattle Pacific advances the other way, up by 6. Eddy in alone for Natalie Hoff. Alter far side for Maya Hoff for the carryover. Beard, Eddy a 3. Stoppage in play, double dribble. Central will have possession. 7:34 left to go in the fourth.
Looks like it was actually a 3 in the key call on one of the Hoff sisters right there. Big mistake right there for the Falcons.
Kai finding Heichschmidt, back to Kai. Kai rides into the paint, turning, spinning, putting one off the glass and in. Counted in the foul for Asher Kai. Looking to complete the 3-point play.
Kai's nearing one of her career highs already in her freshman year. That puts her at 20 points on the game with a chance to get to 21 right here.
7:22 remaining in the fourth. Here's Kai for the free throw attempt. Asher Kai on the season averages 61% at the line. So here's Kai for the free throw. Kai converts, and it's now a one-possession game. Here comes Seattle Pacific with Hunter Bjorn on ahead. Bjorn for Natalie Hoff. Hoff defended by Heichschmidt, far side for Ashley Alter. Alter off the screen from Natalie Hoff, puts one off the right glass, and it'll be Asher Kai who will advance on ahead for the Wildcats. 7 minutes remaining, Seattle Pacific a 64-61 lead. Kai finds Maida. Maida off the Heichschmidt screen. Backdoor cut for Riley Johnson. She lost control of the ball. And a foul will be called in the end result, as the foul will be going against Seattle Pacific on Ashley Alter. For Alter, that puts her now in dangerous territory in terms of the fouling. 3 fouls for Ashley Alter. It'll be Central Washington who will inbound at the baseline in the form of Tori Maida. Maida for Huerta, jumper! And a stoppage of play, a foul will be called on the shot. That will send Huerta to the line shooting 2.
And it looks like it would be another one on Ashley Alter as well, as she was the nearest defender for the call. That will be her 4th on the game, 1 away from fouling out, and for such a huge player for the Falcons, she's going right to the bench right now. They're going to have to save her for key moments now.
Huerta at the line shooting 2. First attempt is up and good. Sunny Huerta, one of the best free throw shooters, ranked 4th in the GNAC in terms of free throw percentage at 89%. Second attempt for Huerta is up and good. And the deficit is cut to 1 with 6:50 to go in regulation. Up the floor comes Hunter Bjorn for Seattle Pacific. Far side for Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon finding Bjorn. Bjorn in, drop down low for Skylar Berry. Pump fakes, turn, shoots, rejected by the rim. Heichschmidt the rebound for Central Washington. 6:30 to go in the fourth. Seattle Pacific as 64-63 lead. Sunny Huerta near side for Maida. Maida, top of the key now for Heichschmidt. Lobbed out for Johnson, thought about the 3, cuts to the inside. Near side for Maida. Slice again, turns, puts one up off the glass and in! What a play from Tori Maida, and the Wildcats reclaim the lead!
Wildcats on a 7-0 run right now to take back the lead here in the 4th quarter.
The absence of Ashley Alter might factor into that equation. Meanwhile, Weatherspoon loses the ball. Central Washington off the turnover, leads with Maida for Sunny Huerta near side. Huerta cuts in for a deep 3 from Riley Johnson off the corner of the rim, and now an escape for Seattle Pacific. This is Hunter Bjorn. Bjorn slows down the pace for the Falcons. Nobody open at the moment. Bjorn finds Skylar Berry down low in the post. Bjorn now rotating. This is Berry now. Stoppage in play, and a foul will be called. Central Washington, foul on Tori Maida. 65-64 scoreline with 5:29 left to go in regulation. Bjorn in for Berry, back to Bjorn. Bjorn in the corner, retreating to the edge. Here's Bjorn turning, putting one up and in. What a play from Hunter Bjorn.
They take the lead right back there, slowing down the Wildcats, but Central has the ball pushing the other way.
66-65, Seattle Pacific in front with 5:12 to go. Riley Johnson for Claire Heichschmidt. Heichschmidt handing off. No, a fake that even faked me out. Here's Maida cutting in. Retreats for Huerta, stumbling and scores! What a play from Sunny Huerta as she fell on the floor and scores anyway!
Sunshine Huerta almost laying completely on the ground, is able to flip the ball off barely, drawing the foul and somehow banking it in. That was one of the most incredible plays of the season right there. And Sunshine Huerta has put them back in the lead and has a chance to finish the improbable and one.
To complete the three-point play, Sunny Huerta, with 5:02 to go in the fourth, she converts. Central Washington leads 68-66 with 5 minutes to go in regulation. Up comes Hunter Bjorn for Seattle Pacific, handing off to Anna Eddy. Eddy defended by Huerta. To the edge, the outside for Skylar Berry, back for Hunter Bjorn. Buren back in for the carryover from Barry. Maya Hoff defended by Maida. Shaking off the screen. Hoff with a great defensive play by Tori Maida to force the jump ball. Possession in favor of Central Washington.
It's tough when you're a post player. You bring the ball down. Those pesky little guards are able to get in there, grab onto it, force jump balls, and that's exactly what Maida did. Gets the ball going back in the Wildcats' possession.
She brings the ball up the floor. 4:32 left to go in regulation. Central a 2-point lead. Heichman, court wide for Maida. Pump fakes on Buren. She stumbles the ground, and a foul will be called on Seattle Pacific. And the foul.
That'll put him in the bonus as well, so Maida will be going to the line here.
Central in the bonus. Maida at the line for the Wildcats. Into the game for Seattle Pacific comes Natalie Hoff. Skylar Berry will check out, and Maida at the line for Central, shooting 85% at the line. For Central Washington, Maida converts on the first free throw, and the lead is extended to 3 with 4:24 left to go in the fourth. Meanwhile, Central Washington, they have 3 fouls to give. Maida scores on the second attempt to go 2 for 2. 70-66 the scoreline with 4:24 left to go in regulation.
It looks like Ashley Alter has checked back in for SPU. 4 minutes to go at 4 fouls. This will be a very interesting way to see how she plays on both ends.
Speaking of which, Buren hands off to Ashley Alter. Maya Hoff, far side now for the carry from Hunter Buren, pump faking. Defended by Maida, back for Maya Hoff at the top of the key. Hoff riding in, Maya Hoff turning, spinning on Heichman, putting one off the glass and in. And it's now a 2-point deficit, 70-68 in favor of Central Washington with 4 minutes to go.
Let's see if the Wildcats try and attack Alter to see if they can draw that 5th foul.
Huerta handing off for Kai. Kai, a 3! It's good! Asher Kai from downtown. The freshman gives the Wildcats a 5-point lead.
And with that 24 points, she has tied her career high already. With a couple minutes to go, she might be able to beat that and even extend that further.
This is Hunter Buren. 5-point lead for Central Washington. Stoppage in play. And a turnover. How about that? Timeout will be called. No, beg your pardon. Timeout will be called by Seattle Pacific by head coach Mike Simonson. Beg your pardon. So the timeout now puts Seattle Pacific with 2 timeouts left to go. Central Washington with their 2 complement as well. With 3:30 left to go in the fourth quarter, Central Washington, it's a case where momentum has completely shifted. First, it was Seattle Pacific controlling the start of the second half of action. Central Washington with the unbelievable play from Sonny Huerta scoring flat on the floor.
I think that was a huge play, not just for the players on the court, but also, I mean, you might have been able to hear on the broadcast, the crowd erupted the second she hit that shot, and that energy has been maintained already in the last couple minutes, and I feel like that new Nicholson Pavilion energy can fuel this women's Wildcats team in the last 3.5 minutes of a close game to possibly give them the edge and have them pull out the win in a very close game.
Let's see how Seattle Pacific will respond. This is Hunter Buren, defended by Tori Maida. Far side Alter, all alone, and Eddie, a 3! No! An unfriendly roll. The rebound, Natalie Hoff misses on the second attempt. Central Washington will advance the other way. 3:14 left to go in the fourth quarter. Up 73-68. Huerta off the Heichman screen. Finds Kai, another 3! Rejected by the rim.
Bit of a heat check right there on that one.
Maya Hoff riding it alone, turns, lost the ball. Asher Kai with the defensive play, gaining possession in the jump ball. The end result, what a play. Asher Kai on both ends of the floor, having herself a game.
Asher Kai must have seen Tori Maeda a couple of possessions ago and heard me. Pesky little guard getting in there, taking the ball from the big. We're going to do that right now.
Here comes Seattle Pacific as the jump ball sides possession in their favor. Alter in on Kai, stoppage in play, and a foul will be called. 2 shots at the line off the foul by Asher Kai. So that will send Ashley Alter to the line for Seattle Pacific. Alter on the air for free throw percentage, averaging 77%. The Nicholson Pavilion crowd goes to their feet as Alter silences them briefly with the first attempt through to bring the deficit to 4.
A very accurate free throw shooter looking to bring the game down to 3 points.
Which she successfully accomplishes. with the deficit now 3 for Seattle Pacific. Central Washington with possession with 2:42 left to go. Sonny Huerta near side. Huerta far side for Maida. Maida cutting in, turns, pivots near side for Heitschmidt. Heitschmidt outside of the arc for Tori Maida. Maida far side with Huerta, pump faking, back outside for Maida. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Maida briskly in, triple team. Pass turned it over. Seattle Pacific winds up with the ball. This is Hunter Bier near side. Alter all alone, a 3! Off back iron. Coming up with the rebound, Maya Hoff outletted on loose, and a foul will be called.
Looks like a foul probably on Tori Maeda, it looks like. As she kind of yanked the rug out from Hoff, got a little bit too much contact there. And it looks like with 2 minutes to go, the Falcons have a chance here to tie it up or cut the lead down to 1.
Maida's third foul, 2:08 left to go in the fourth quarter. Down by 3 is Seattle Pacific. This is Natalie Hoff, guarded by Samantha Bowman. Finding Alter, Ashley Alter, pump fakes, in trouble to the outside. All alone, Maya Hoff, a 3! Off back iron, Samantha Bowman, her first rebound of the game with 1:52 left to go in regulation.
And no bigger time to get it right there than in 2 minutes left of a one-possession game.
Wildcats up 73-70. Here's Asher Kai finding Claire Heitschmidt. Near side, 100 seconds to go in regulation. This is Sonny Huerta. Huerta outside of for Maida, guarded by Anna Eddy for Seattle Pacific. Maida finds Bowman, thought about the 3, cuts the inside. Maida, a 3! It's good! Tori Maida from downtown! The Wildcats lead 76-70 with 80 seconds left to go. Timeout, Mike Simonson and Seattle Pacific. A huge three-pointer from Tori Maida, and it's those pesky little guards, as you said, Michael. They are playing a factor once again.
Tori Maeda on the defensive end has come up huge in the fourth quarter, and right there, about as incredible a possession you can have. Hitting the three-pointer, getting 3 points out of possession, but dragging that shot clock down, bringing the game clock down to where there's only 1:20 left, about 80 seconds left to go in the game, and in a 2-possession game, a 6-point lead as well, where it could be considered a 3-possession game at this point. The time is almost run out already on the Falcons because of that one shot by Maeda. And now, SPU, they have to start hitting these shots. They have to start putting points on the board because the Wildcats have the game nearly locked up right now. It's going to be a very hectic and it's going to be a very impressive last minute and a half of this game.
So if you're Seattle Pacific, you're down by 6, 1:19 to go. Do you go for the 3 now?
I think right now you have to get a quick shot off. It doesn't matter if you have to get as quick an open look as you can. I think Central's going to try and limit the three-pointers, so get it down low. You can cut it to a 4-point game, but you're going to have to dial up on the defensive end of it.
Here comes Seattle Pacific. Natalie Hoff. Near side for Anna Eddy. Eddy, left-handed dribble. Near side for Ashley Alter. Alter riding in a floater, missing the shot. Asher Kai, the board for Central Washington. Kai able to escape. Maida across the timeline, and a foul will be called, and Ashley Alter has fouled out of the game.
And that'll also send Tori Maeda to the free throw line, looking to add to what is almost a season high. She doesn't usually put up the big numbers on the scoring end. Already 6 points, most of that, I believe maybe all of it, coming here in the fourth quarter.
Here's Maida at the line. 76-70 is the score with 59 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. This will make it a 3-possession game.
Correction, Tori Maeda now has 10 points. We didn't factor in the three-pointer she hit right before the break.
77-70 to score a line. This to make it 78, which Maida successfully converts. So the lead is 78-70. Seattle Pacific in desperate need for a score of any variety. Eddy, a 3. Rejected by the rim. Hoff the rebound. Natalie Hoff scores. Now it's a 2-possession game, 78-72. 48 seconds left. Randy Richardson Thornley calls a timeout for Central Washington. Meanwhile, the game clock is starting to run. That could lead to an issue as the officials will have to go to the replay monitor. So more timeout time for Mike Simonson to draw something up for the Falcons here.
And right now, really all you can drop is you got to put about as much full court pressure as you can on these guards. You have to. I think right now a big strategy could be the Wildcats can run the baseline. The ball was not a loose ball; it was just a made shot. So the Wildcats can run the baseline. You need to put a guard in there to keep up with the inbounder, and then try and line up some of those post players, especially the Hoff sisters. put them up towards the front, try and protect the ball, don't let it get in, and if it does, you foul right away. The key players to look for taking a foul for them is Natalie Hoff, who has no fouls on the night. She can take all the fouls she needs, but you just need to make sure whatever happens, whether you are able to force a turnover or the Wildcats get the ball in, time is not on your side. You need to waste as little as possible trying to get the ball back in your own hands.
Got to be quick. Lolo Weatherspoon is the only player in foul trouble for SPU with 4 fouls. Central Washington, Tori Maida and Claire Heichschmidt each have 3 fouls. The rest of the Central Washington lineup has primarily all the players on the floor tonight for Central Washington have at least 1 foul. None of them are in foul trouble at this point. And there's another conference, and we still have not reset the clock yet. So the officials are looking to unravel that. Both benches were inquiring about the time. So in correspondence to that notion, we will continue to wait. Meanwhile, the officials will continue here on CWU Ellensburg. KCWU Ellensburg is the site, as well as the CW Athletics live stream, as we welcome you into Nicholson Pavilion with around a minute. We'll have an official confirmation on time left in the 4th quarter as soon as we have it. As we continue to wait, both teams patiently at their benches. Mike Simonson still coaching his Falcons. Small huddle for the Wildcats now disperses. And it seems as if we are now ready for basketball. 47.9 seconds remain in the 4th quarter, with Central Washington up 78-72. So it'll be the Wildcats inbounding in the form of Claire Heichschmidt. Here is Heichschmidt looking to send one in, defended by Weatherspoon. Near side, here's Sunny Huerta emerging free. Weatherspoon finding Maida with the clock running down, 42 seconds left. Maida playing keep away. Hunter Byrne finally fouls Tori Maida to send Tori Maida to the line with 38.9 seconds left in a 6-point game.
That is the last person you want to foul on this Wildcats team. Maeda came into the game already shooting 85% and has gone 6 for 6 so far.
And the announcer's jinx bites Tori Maida. And it's still a 6-point game. Second attempt for Tori Maida. Maida makes true, going 1 for 2 from the line. And more importantly for Central Washington, they lead by 7, 79-72, 33 seconds to go. Here comes Hunter Byrne, far side for Anna Eddy. Eddy turns, shoots a 3, rejected by the rim. Asher Kai comes up with the rebound. And it's Maida foul again, this time the foul going against Haley Marlowe of Seattle Pacific. So Maida again will have 2 more chances at the line for Central Washington. What a performance from Tori Maida, Michael Jones, with 12 points, especially going 7 of 8 from the line.
So far, 7 of 8. And I mean, these guards for Central had such a big impact in this game. A game where the forwards were doing what they could, but were definitely limited by this SBU team. The guards stepped up big and have launched them to what could be a win in 23 seconds time.
Made it true on both free throws, 81-72 the score. Shot clock turned off. Byrne, far side for Natalie Hoff, a long range 3, off back iron. Loose ball, Heichschmidt on the rebound, triple teamed. And a foul will be called at the end result. That will send Claire Heichschmidt to the line for Central Washington. For Claire Heichschmidt, 7 points so far on the night, including a 3-pointer, 6 rebounds. That's tied for second on the Central Washington squad. Here's Heichschmidt shooting the first free throw, which she misses. With 12 seconds to go, Central Washington lead 81-72. Here is the second attempt from Heichschmidt, which she misses. Kai fetching for the rebound, last touched off of her. With 11 seconds to go, Central Washington with an 81-72 lead.
Let's see if SPU tries to get some kind of last-second shot, draw, foul, but the time has seemingly run out on the Falcons tonight.
Eddy. Desperation 3 off the mark. And thanks to 24 points from Asher Kai, 9 rebounds, leading the way, the freshman catapults Central Washington to a 81-72 victory over the Seattle Pacific Falcons. They split the season series as Central Washington advances to 7-3 on the campaign. Seattle Pacific drops to 6-4. Well, it's time for our CW Athletics Player of the Game and our key star for Central Washington. Well, it's the freshman that takes away Player of the Game honors for the Wildcats, Michael.